You're listening to the Armchair GMs Sports Network.
The following podcast is under review.
After reviewing the play, the call on the ice stands. We gotta go!
All right, guys, welcome back to part 2 of the Under Review podcast. Trade Deadline all-day special right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network, your February 24th, 2020 edition. Your source for North American sports coverage by sports fans, for sports fans, delivered to you right here from the Niagara region. Follow the podcast on Twitter at Armchair GM Pod. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/ArmchairGMsNetwork. Listen to us live on Spreaker right now at Spreaker.com or the Spreaker app by searching the Armchair GMs. As well, we're on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, CastBox, and Stitcher Radio. So wherever it's most convenient for you to listen to us, we're on all those different platforms for you. And as always, I'm your host of the Under Review podcast, Cap. You can follow me on Twitter at Kapoots13, the Canadian Zed. And I'm joined by my special co-host today for the Trade Deadline special. He is my good friend Tyler Jones. You can follow him on Twitter at TylerJones_22. And Ty, we've been gone for an hour, and we've missed a few things here and there, and a few minor things, and a few major things.
We came back at the right time because a huge trade just went down.
Okay.
So pop that noise. No details yet. Robin Leonard is headed to the Vegas Golden Knights.
Wow. Okay.
So either something is hurt with Flurry. I don't know if maybe they're trading him. I don't know why you would.
It might just be for insurance.
I guess Vegas is really going for it if they want to starting goalies. But so that is the big trade. No details obviously yet on that one. That literally came out a minute ago from Elliot Friedman.
And again, we were talking about how the deadline's at 3 o'clock Eastern time, but this is why we come back to it this time, because we always see a log jam of the phones. You know, you can be on the phone and still have a trade to come through, and it's a log jam there. Brian Burke was talking about it here on the Sportsnet feed here, and saying that, you know, it could be up to an hour and a half before all the trades come in. So that's why.
Oh, yeah. And technically, I mean, right now, you know, is the deadline, so we are. It's 3:01 now, so we are done. Deadline is over. But
it is
obviously
over.
Calls are still pouring in. Things are still going to happen. Things are obviously not completed. So did just see Bob McKenzie, no Tyson Barrie trade for Toronto.
Yep. Well, it was going to be hard with the Caps situation, so that's what we were talking about earlier.
Okay, so but back to the trades that happened while we were gone. A couple minor ones, nothing big, nothing that's going to come out to you and really jar you up. Let's see, where did we end up here? There's where we ended.
Athanasiou was the last trade that we talked about.
So
and Derek Forbort.
Yeah, Derek Forbort, and then Calgary also traded for Gustafsson, Eric Gustafsson. I heard that on the radio.
From Chicago. So they basically are trying to replace Giordano with two guys. Then Evan Rodriguez and Connor Sheary from your Buffalo Sabres are headed to the Pittsburgh Penguins for Dominic Cahoon. And then, let's see here. Tyler Ennis to, where did he go? Edmonton
For a 2021 fifth. Stars acquired a 2026 round pick for some guy named Emil Hughes. Don't know who he is.
And the other big trade.
And then the other big trade, the last trade that happened as we ended, or during our break there. Sammy Vaughn headed to the Carolina Hurricanes for, it looks like, a pick and a prospect. Still no full details, but Carolina certainly going for it. And then it also looks like there's a rumor that LeBrun tweeted San Jose and Tampa are talking about a Barclay Goudreau trade, but as the deadline is passing, that may not have happened.
Pierre LeBrun also tweeted Joe Thornton is staying put in San Jose. So there's
Columbus have acquired Devin Shore from Anaheim.
Okay, another depth move.
Yep. Joe Thornton is staying put in San Jose.
Yep. And, oh man, it's we were talking about Carolina earlier and how they were looking to acquire a defenseman. So I'm wondering if that first round pick was for Vatanen. If that's the case, that's a nice return for New Jersey, getting a first round pick for an expiring defenseman.
Yeah. A lot of depth moves seems like it's happening.
But
apparently Philip Forsberg played a prank on Victor Arvidsson and cleaned out his locker, so when RV came in, he thought he got traded.
Right. But so we've had some movement while we've been gone, and that Carolina trade was interesting. We heard that they were in talks with the Rangers about Brady Shay. Unfortunately, that didn't come to fruition with the cap situation there. So I'm assuming that New Jersey is going to be eating some of Sammy Vatanen's remaining salary in order for it to work for Carolina.
That'd be my guess. And also, Bob McKenzie tweeted out, too, the draft pick in the Vatanen trade is conditional on his health and how much he plays, because Vatanen has been out the last 3 to 4 weeks with a leg injury. So that's going to be a part of, too, with how much the condition, how big the conditions are, and exactly what happens with all that.
According to John Warrow, AP sports writer, told the Sabres are done for their 2 trades today. So there's that.
Here is the package for Chicago. Gets a second and a prospect for Robin Leonard.
Okay. A second and a prospect. No conditions
Prospect
on
still
the
unknown.
pick.
As of right now, doesn't look like it. But that's also just 20 seconds ago that was put out by Chris Johnson.
Yep. So, New Jersey's shipping out some people today.
Yeah, big day for New Jersey, that's for sure.
Sorry, I'm just reviewing a trade that just came up in my fantasy hockey league. So they must have made a deal for somebody that got traded. Oh, no, not really, but okay. I don't know why that trade just happened now, but sure. If you want to break our fantasy hockey trade, Zach Sanford has been traded with a 20th round pick for Anthony Cirelli in the 25th. So there you go for that.
Steal.
But regardless, that Vegas acquiring Robin Leonard trade is interesting because obviously I guess they don't really believe in Malcolm Subban as their backup goaltender at this point.
Who would?
He still won the game last night against Anaheim, but he gave up 5 goals. So I think it's a nice ad for Vegas. It gives them some stability. They don't really know what's going on with Flurry. I mean, he hasn't played fantastic this year like we're used to seeing, so maybe there is a little injury there that they're worried about. So Vegas is obviously primed and ready for another run, so they want to have a backup that's capable of being able to come in and steal them a game if Flurry ends up getting hurt longer term. So I like it as a nice backup piece for Vegas, and but for Robin Leonard, I don't see however many starts he's going to be getting down the stretch here, but it gives him a chance to be on a playoff team and a cup contender, which he really hasn't been anywhere in his career. What else are we looking at here? The Vatanen trade. Carolina obviously needed the D. I like them going out and getting him. We're still waiting on the details of some of these trades, so it's tough to really know what some of these conditions are. But one trade that we didn't get to talk about before during our first hour of the show, or 3 hours of the part 1 today, was the Tyler Toffoli to the Vancouver Canucks trade. What were your thoughts on that trade earlier? It was Tim Schaller, Tyler Madden, a second-round pick, and a conditional 4th for Tyler Toffoli, who I believe has potential to be a 25 to 30 goal scorer in this league.
Yeah, no, I liked it. I think Toffoli playing it, which they needed to do because Besser's out for the rest of the year. So, I mean, they were going to have to do something. But I I think Toffoli's a good player, really good, probably more of a second line winger, but still a good player. And they didn't really give up all that much for him, in my opinion. So it was.
No.
I really like the deal for the side of Vancouver.
And they're probably going to be pairing him with JT Miller and Elias Pettersson on that top line for now, just because they obviously don't have the greatest
right, but Besser
forward
out
depth.
too.
And I think that's a great move for Vancouver. I like Toffoli a lot, and he finally gets to play with some young talent opposed to playing with the dinosaurs he was playing with in LA. So
yeah,
like
he's a good piece. I think he's a good piece.
Yep. That was like the one big trade that I forgot to talk about today that they were mentioning of on the trade breakers today. The Tyler Ennis gets moved for a fifth. There was some discrepancy on what exactly he was going for. So again, the Senators make some trades. They don't really get a lot of key assets, but again, the assets that they had weren't going to be getting them first round picks and top end prospects. So
no,
them just getting some draft picks for these guys, it happens. Again, there's still rumblings of Brady Shay going to the Hurricanes, but I mean they just acquired Sammy Vaughn. I don't think it's going to happen. I just don't see it working with their cap situation. But Dominic Cahoon is a decent player for the Sabres, possible third-line center next year, according to the Future of the 716 Twitter account.
I'll say Lamoriello on a press conference call in 15 minutes, so no Parise deal.
I guess they couldn't get it to work, huh?
No, I'm guessing cap. I mean, that's just too much.
I think it's very interesting this year. He goes back to Pittsburgh. Evan Rodriguez, who requested a trade earlier this year, also goes back to Pittsburgh in that deal for Cahoon. And he's still 24 years old, an RFA, not making a lot of money. So both those guys were going to be out the door for nothing for Buffalo. So why not get something back that you have control over? Cahoon obviously being an RFA. Maybe he can help out a third-line center. I don't mind the move. But again, it's disappointing the day that you come out with Dominic Cahoon and Wayne Simmons, seeing what some other teams do. And again, obviously there are some deals that just can't be made during the season. They have to be made during the summer because the contenders are just loading up with barely any cap room, and they're just trying to acquire some of these guys on expiring contracts. Like you said earlier in the show, the guys that have longer term on their deals, those are the ones that happen in the summer where the
got
cap,
more time to think.
And the salary cap doesn't matter until the season starts, so you can kind of make things work better in the summertime. And players that maybe might not waive their no trade clause during the season might be more willing in the summertime, so they can relocate and get settled in properly. So,
oh yeah,
I think if Buffalo's going to make some moves, the major moves is going to have to be in the summer, unfortunately. But seeing that Trocheck deal today still leaves a sour taste in my mouth because I think Buffalo could have easily given him a package of that value or even better for Vincent Trocheck. So that's my only gripe about it.
Yeah, I can understand coming from your point of view why there'd be a gripe.
Apparently,
go ahead.
Apparently, Malcolm Subban is going back in the deal. Sorry, I'm mixing my words here because we have another breaking trade here, actually. As we said, it couldn't happen. It happened.
It happened. Oh
Carolina
my God.
Hurricanes acquired Brady Shay from the New York Rangers for a first-round pick.
So Carolina's winning the cup. What the hell?
No, they're not. But
look at that team. If they get a goalie,
they've loaded. Well, they had a goalie. They had Ayers.
Yeah,
but
Mrazek's pretty good too, though.
David Ayers for the goalie. But I want to know how this is going to work in their cap situation because they just acquired Vatanen, and now they go and get Brady Shay. So this is going to be really, really interesting to see what is going back the other way because I feel like Carolina.
It says only for a first-round pick is what McKinsey's saying, but that can't be possible.
Because they have no cap space, so they're going
to unless New Jersey's retained 50% or whatever salary how much salary you can retain, and I maybe New York's retaining some. I don't know.
Well, Shay's got I think he's got 4 years left on his deal, so that would be pretty tough. Earlier. Still waiting on Vatanen to come in on Carolina's cap friendly, so we don't even have that yet to see what the deal is with their cap space. But wow, the Hurricanes today.
And for all we know, because we have tweeted, or there's McKenzie and some of these guys who tweeted it, and that's because they're hearing it. But if internally. New York could have called Carolina and said, all right, we'll do the trade for Shay. And then Carolina calls New Jersey and says, all right, no, I'm Vatanen. We're good now. Now, you're screwing another GM, and I'm sure that's not going to go over well, but it has happened.
I just saw a tweet from not Atlanta Thrashers. Thrashers done for the day.
Here, Pierre LeBrun just tweeted, Carolina was able to get around its cap issues using lifetime IR, so the Canes acquired both Shay from the Rangers and Vatanen from New Jersey, and getting Trocheck as well. So they're apparently going to put a few guys on lifetime injured reserve, and that's going to clear their cap up.
Wow, interesting. I want to know
Carolina pushing the chips all the way in.
Wow. So we knew that their first-round pick was in play for a defenseman. It ends up being Brady, Shay, and they also get Sammy Vaughn from the New Jersey Devils. So that's going to be a very formidable top
to me,
six.
That Brett Pesce's out for probably the rest of the year. That's my guess.
You would think, right? I mean,
if he comes back, it's not a bad thing. But I'm guessing if you go out and trade for both of them, that he is out much longer than they anticipated.
Well, he looked like he got hit on the hand pretty good, so maybe
it could be a broken hand, anything. So
yeah, maybe they realize that they're going to need that they're serious about this. I mean, they have Trocheck now, they get him, and then they've lost Dougie Hamilton already this year, so that didn't look good. Right now, it's Slavin, Trevor Van Riemsdyk, Jake Gardner, Hayden Fleury, and Joel Edmondson. So then you slot Vatanen and Brady Shay in there. That basically takes. We don't know if Pesce's hurt long term or not. So if Pesce's out, let's just say Shay goes in that spot, and then they add Vatanen as well, which takes Hayden Fleury out of the lineup. And that's a very formidable top six, even with Brett Pesce and Dougie Hamilton out. Obviously, there's probably they're probably going to have to make a move in the summertime. I mean, Vatanen will be gone because he's a free agent, but those are a lot of defensemen that they'll have again, and they'll probably have the same problem that they had last year where they might have to ship somebody out.
Yep.
But Carolina loading up on defense, and I think they got to be the big winners today out of anybody.
Oh, yeah. I put them definitely up at the top. Edmonton, too, probably. Bruins are done for the day, seems like, as well.
Another big winner were the Bruins.
Yeah, they did pretty well. Honestly, they did well just getting Backus off their books. They won just by being able to do that and being able to get a second-line player in return.
Yep, and then getting Nick Ritchie for Danton Heinen, who was basically falling out of grace with the Bruins at this point. So some really, really good trades today. And then some trades that made you shake your head, like Derek Grant. But what's going on with Nashville? Nashville's been a little too quiet for me.
Well, this is David Poile, and knowing David Poile, if any trades are going to happen, they're going to come out here at the very end. Well, excuse me, hold on.
We saw Philip Forsberg.
Sorry, I had to clear my throat.
Yep. We saw Philip Forsberg for Marty Erat happen, like the last trade of the day.
Yep. So, I mean, it's still possible. I have not heard or seen anything from any of my guys about anything being officially done. My guess, though, is Poile is banking on Ryan Ellis being our deadline pickup with him coming back from injury, and us kind of hoping that turns the ship around with the guys that we have. Which is, I mean, if you're not gonna sell, don't buy, because it obviously you're gonna give up too much at the deadline. Which today I really didn't think anybody gave up all that much. So it's really pretty surprising to me how low prices were. I mean, I was just listening to Brian Burke 2 days ago, I think, and he was talking about how, and Brian Burke is one of my heroes, and he was talking about how he's like, I barely made deals on deadline day because the prices were up like 30%, and that would be my thought process too. Is I make, and Poile does the same shit, that he will make his deals early so he doesn't have to do it at deadline day when the prices go up. But like I said today, it seemed like prices were not high. It seemed like the prices to get him earlier was much higher than it is to get him later this year.
No, the prices were a lot higher for Blake Coleman than they were anybody else that got traded today. That Jake Muzzin extension is official from the Leafs.
Obviously, just saw that.
They had to wait till today to do it, I believe.
Yep.
And it's $5.6 million over 4 years, so a nice cap
good
for
signing.
Jake Muzzin.
Good signing. I think he's, and it's like I heard. I think it was Chris Johnston talking about it. I mean, you can sit there and look at John Tavares has the C on his chest. But Jake Muzzin's the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs, if you want to get down to it. He's the vocal one. He's the one who steps up. He's the one who says and does and has won a ring. And he's the
Morgan
man.
Riley, too, is also an underrated leader for them.
Yep.
And unfortunately, he's hurt right now. A lot of people thought that Morgan Riley is going to be the next captain of the Leafs, but that didn't happen.
Trade for Vatanen.
Okay.
Details come through. Looks like Vatanen for Yanni Kukkonen and a second rounder.
Okay.
And I'm guessing that hasn't said in that, but I'm guessing that second rounder is conditional based on how much Vatanen plays with him being hurt. That's just my guess. Don't put a whole lot into that, but I'm guessing because of the injury, you wouldn't want to give up a second round pick in case.
Yanni.
Go ahead.
I was going to say Yanni Kukkonen has 2 years left on his entry-level deal. He's 21 years old. He was the second-round pick of Carolina in 2013, 43rd overall. He's from Finland, obviously. And he is a left winger, center.
You can break in news this one.
Okay.
One of the most underrated forwards on the San Jose Sharks, in my opinion, is being traded to Tampa Bay. Barclay Goodrow headed to Tampa Bay.
Very nice pickup for Tampa Bay. Barclay Goodrow scored the OT winner against the Vegas Golden Knights in the playoffs last year, the OT hero. He's a very, very good depth forward that can play up and down your lineup, but probably on Tampa he's going to be probably a fourth-line player. Maybe a third liner if an injury happens, but for the most part, that's a very nice depth pickup with a guy that has had a fair amount of good playoff experience here for the San Jose Sharks and has played a key role for their team over the last few years. So I've always liked Barclay Goodrow. I think he's a good player, former captain of the now defunct Brampton Battalion, but I always liked Barclay Goodrow, and that's another solid pickup for Tampa Bay. They get Blake Coleman. They have Patrick Maroon. They added, obviously, earlier this year. And now getting Barclay Goodrow to go along with all their skilled forwards and also adding Zach Bogosian on the back end. I think they're really adding players that they lacked last year in the playoffs that got them swept by Columbus. They can't just, like you were saying, you can't just blow teams out in the playoffs. You need to play a certain way. And I think guys like Coleman, Bogosian, if he's, hopefully he's better than what we saw in Buffalo because that was god-awful. And guys like Goodrow and Maroon, those are guys that you need in the playoffs.
Yeah, you're going to need some physical. Obviously, playoffs are much more physical, so you're going to need that physicality and that physical element. I think a lot of teams are looking for that. I think a lot of teams were especially on the defensive end. I think that's what a lot of teams are kind of looking for right now. Like you were saying that I said, you just can't play a strictly offensive game in the playoffs. It just doesn't work. Teams are too good defensively. They lock it down. They will. Playoff hockey is some of my favorite hockey because it's so tight games most of the time. It's very tight, very aggressive, it's not a wide open spectacle of just skills on skills on skills. It's cool. Don't get me wrong. All that stuff's cool and it's impressive, but it's not necessarily the kind of hockey I like. So that's why playoff hockey to me is just, and you can tell the guys, they clamp it down much harder.
No, it definitely is a different style. People can sit here and say, "Oh, there's no difference between playoff hockey and regular season hockey."
Huge difference. I mean, that's why whenever when you start going down the stretch, I just saw a quote that Morgan Riley said it too. I mean, you got to start playing playoff hockey now. We got to start playing playoff hockey now. If playoff hockey wasn't a different style and a different thing, why would they be saying that? There'd be no point. Another trade. New Jersey trades Louis Domingue to Vancouver.
Okay. So, obviously a backup goaltender move for Vancouver to play with Markstrom. And, yeah, there was 1 minute ago from Bob McKenzie. There was, here it is. So far, the Red Wings today have traded Athanasiou, Mike Green, and they've acquired 2 second-round picks, a 4th-round pick, Sam Gagner, Kyle Brodziak, and they've claimed Dmytro Timashov off waivers from the Leafs. So, I'd say...
I think Detroit had a pretty good day. Like I said, I think they should have got more for Athanasiou. But I guess that's debatable on what was happening behind the scenes, and we weren't there, so...
Yeah. But so far, Yanni Kukkonen was the prospect that Bob McKenzie just tweeted about. That I think you had already said that going the other way to Carolina or from Carolina. Some teams still haven't announced that they're done, so I expect us to be getting some stuff.
And like you said about Burke, this stuff will trickle down for the next hour. Yeah, we're not done, so.
So we're going to take a commercial break on our show today here and come back with hopefully another trade to break. So we'll be right back here on our trade deadline special as a part of the Under Review podcast on the Armchair GMs Sports Network. The Blue Line Diner is Niagara's leading breakfast restaurant. Great food, great service, and where else can you see one of the NHL's greatest players having coffee and conversation with patrons? Of course, Marcel Dion Inc. is located directly next door, and Marcel is always in and out of the restaurant, talking to the kids and the fans that walk through the doors. Open Tuesday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., and Saturday and Sunday, 8 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. 289-296-8785, the Blue Line Diner, located on Montrose Road, Niagara Falls. Simply Fit Health Club, real 24-hour access, 7 days a week. Located at 6595 Drummond Road, Niagara Falls. A clean, modern facility with top-of-the-line equipment, a friendly and non-judgmental environment, free Wi-Fi, ample parking, and more. Come in and tour their facility anytime during their office hours. 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday, Saturday 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Sunday 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Don't hesitate to stop in. No appointment necessary. They take pride in helping their members reach their health and fitness goals at their convenience and for the best possible price. For only $9.99 bi-weekly, members will get access to the state-of-the-art facility any day, anytime. What are you waiting for? At Simply Fit, there are no excuses, only results. Come see for yourself. 289-296-9535 or info at simplyfithealthclub.com. Simply Fit Health Club. Michelangelo's, Niagara Falls' premier sports kitchen and bar. We're all about food, friends, and fun. Catch the game with us and grab a delicious bite to eat while enjoying a cold beer. Bus trips to sporting events, live music performances, and sports pools throughout the year. Open daily 11 a.m. to midnight and 11 a.m. to 1 a.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. Michelangelo's, Niagara Falls' premier sports kitchen and bar. Canadian Wrestling Figure Store. Check out their website at cwf.ecwid.com for the best selection in Canada for WWE Elites, Basics, and exclusive action figures. Free Canada-wide shipping on any order over $200. Enter the code ARMCHAIR at checkout so they know that we sent you to receive 10% off your order. Once again, that's Canadian Wrestling Figure Store at cwf.ecwid.com. Attention employers! Finding the right candidate to meet your hiring needs requires more than just posting an advertisement and waiting for a suitable candidate to apply. Let the Niagara Employment Help Center save you valuable time and money by making your hiring process easier. Free job postings, fill job vacancies quickly and efficiently, access to a bank of potential employees, reduce employment costs, all candidates will be pre-screened, job trials and placement incentives, and financial assistance may be applicable to offset the cost of training. Again, this is Niagara Employment Help Center, located at 6100 Thoroldstone Road, Niagara Falls. www.ehc.on.ca. You're listening to the Armchair GMs Sports Network. Alright guys, welcome back to our trade deadline special here as a part of the Under Review podcast on the Armchair GM Sports Network. Ty, I guess we have some conditions on one of the trades.
first, obviously, because they don't have this year's, which they traded to New Jersey. New Jersey.
Yeah, so first round pick for Barclay Goodrow. I'll take that any day of the week. That's a really good trade for San Jose. And again, they traded away a first round pick for Blake Coleman, and now they're giving up a first for Barclay Goodrow. So Tampa Bay obviously doesn't care about their draft picks.
They're definitely they're not going to be at the top. So really, what does it matter?
Yeah, it's basically going to
be
an
early second round pick.
Yeah, essentially. Well, for their sake, I hope so.
So Zane McIntyre is going from Vancouver to New Jersey for Louis Domingue.
Zane, don't call me Drew McIntyre.
Don't make him give you a Claymore.
Right. Now Tampa Bay, they still have their own first, so they must have given up somebody else's first for Blake Coleman.
Oh.
I think it was Vancouver's first, because didn't they get a first for JT Miller?
Yes, they did. You're right. Holy crap, I forgot about that one from last year. Yep. Okay, so then, that makes it a little easier if I'm a Tampa Bay fan, that we're not giving up 2 years worth of firsts.
Yeah, so they still did they say if it was the 2020 or 2021 first that was getting traded?
They have not said anything yet on even whose pick it was which. So that's what I was confused. I've forgotten about the JT Miller. See, if they had said it was Vancouver's pick or their pick, it'd be a different story. But they haven't said that yet. So,
well, I'm looking at Cap Friendly, and Vancouver's pick is not on here. So I assume the Blake Coleman trade was for Vancouver's first.
That'd be my guess as well.
So then that means that they're trading their own first this year or next year that they still have at this point. Again, it's a great return for San Jose getting a first for Barclay Goodrow.
Oh, yeah.
Goodrow's a solid player, but
a first-round pick could be a franchise player potentially, and Barclay Goodrow's not that. As much as he's a good player, and I think he's one of the most underrated guys. He's got, again, I'm not a huge proponent of fancy stats, but they do mean something. And he is one of the guys who's very good at the fancy stats. So, good possession numbers, all that kind of good stuff. So, I think he's one of those guys. He's a good two-way player. So, and Tampa Bay needs those. They need depth.
And guys that are affordable. Goodrow's under contract for one more year, making $925,000. So, just like Coleman, he's on a very team-friendly contract.
And you could see that's what Tampa Bay's been going for, and that's why I think they're willing to give up a little more, is because of the value that these contracts are going to provide for them in other ways.
Yeah, and if they need to get under one of these other contracts, they have these guys as backup for at least one more year, in Coleman and Goodrow. So I like what Tampa's doing. They're giving up a premium, but like you said,
also I mentioned earlier about the Devon Shore trade. That was finalized. Devon Shore is being sent to the Blue Jackets for Sonny Milano.
Whoa!
Interesting. So, I like Sonny Milano, so that's very interesting.
Sonny Milano obviously wasn't working out in Columbus with Tortorella, and he was a very highly sought after player coming out of college. So for Sonny Milano, I think a change of scenery is good for him. And who does Devon Shore even play for now?
It was Anaheim.
Anaheim. Okay, so Anaheim, I think that's a very good value get for them, getting Sonny Milano. Yeah. So
Malcolm Subban is involved in the trade with the Chicago.
Yep. Poor Malcolm Subban. But
Kevin Cheveldayoff says Dustin Byfuglien decided at some point not to play hockey this year, and that quashed any potential deal. Says the potential to trade Byfuglien remains open, though, during the offseason. Also, Rising Action, who is somebody in Vancouver, writes for Vancouver. Source tells me Canucks training for Louis Domingue because of concerns over a knee problem for Jacob Markstrom.
Well, I don't know if Louis Domingue's going to solve the problem, but at least they have an option.
And they have Thatcher Demko and DiPietro, so that kind of surprises me a little bit. But
my thing with Byfuglien was, if he refused to report, couldn't they have just terminated his contract for failure to comply to your contract?
They can, but he's still got some value, and teams are still wanting to trade for him. So I don't think you want to do that just yet. I mean, I think at some point it will probably get to that point if trades start to come to be where it's not good enough and they're wanting you to retain salary, then there might be some problems there, I think, for Winnipeg. But I wouldn't terminate it just yet. And you don't know. Dustin Byfuglien is also one of these guys. He changes his mind on a dime, it seems like. He could decide to come back tomorrow. Now that the trade deadline's over, maybe he was using it for leverage, and now that it's over, he'll just – but then again, maybe I think he had to play by December 1st, so he may be done for the year. But I'm not – that may be only if you're playing for another team, because I think that's the whole situation with Puljujarvi, which is why he won't be traded this year, is because he can't be used anymore this year because he's playing with a team overseas. And if you're not signed by December 1st and you're playing for another team, maybe that's if you're RFA. So I think it's different. But
I think he's going to have to get traded in the summer anyway.
Yeah.
But, and that's another piece that you always forget that Edmonton still has in their back pocket if a team is really interested in his services. I'd love for Buffalo to go out and get a guy like Jesse Puljujarvi. Not sure what the price would be for that, but any guy that has potential to be a top six winger or forward, Buffalo should be in on it.
And you know me, again, I'm all about low risk, high reward, and I feel like in the offseason, you'll be able to get Puljujarvi for probably a 4th round pick more than likely, or something along those lines. And
I don't think so. I think
maybe a 3rd.
I think Ken Holland's going to shoot for the Stars with Puljujarvi. I think he's going to want a roster player.
You could say you're going to shoot for the Stars all you want to, but then teams could be like, okay, fine, keep him. And then he cannot play for you. And he'll play overseas, and he'll ride out his contract, and then we'll just sign him.
Yeah, I guess it's true when a guy says that he refuses to play for your team.
It's different. That's why I'm telling you, man. That's when we were talking about Botterill in the O'Reilly situation. And you were like, I just don't think he got the value he could have for O'Reilly. And I said, well, you're right. But it was O'Reilly's fault he couldn't get the value because O'Reilly could just sit out. Now, yeah, you could clear his cap space off, but O'Reilly was super, super valuable. And you can't just let a guy like that sit out and let him walk somewhere else for nothing.
He never said he was going to sit out. All he said
was
no.
That... I know, but that is a situation that could have occurred based on what he was saying.
No,
that's what
right.
I'm trying to say.
You're right. Still waiting on some teams have not said that they're finished yet. So
there's still a lot of rumors and things going around.
I'm circling back to Nashville. I can't see them not making one deal today.
I can, and like I was talking to one of our friends earlier, Trey. He was like, "Do you think we're going to do anything?" And I'm like, "I really don't. I really just don't think Poyle. I think he's done a lot of moves in the last few years, and we've given up a lot of draft picks over the last few years. Also, I got something to say after I get done with this about a trade, but it was all very. I just don't. In the situation that we're in, I just didn't think it was going to happen. But back to that trade deadline in 2012 when we traded a first-round pick for Paul Gostad, I forgot. We also got a 4th-round pick in that deal. You want to know who that 4th-round pick turned out to be?
No.
UC Saros.
Great. Well, we wouldn't have drafted him anyway, so.
No, but I just wanted to say that. It makes me feel a little better.
Yeah, I'm glad it makes you feel better. We got Zemgus Girgensons out of it. He's still on the team.
No, at least he's an NHL player, like you always say.
Yeah,
a lot of guys aren't.
Exactly. I lost my train of thought here. I think I was going to talk about Nashville. That's the thing is that some teams maybe they feel like by not making a move they become more confident and the group becomes more confident that they just believe in the group that they had to go for it. I think the guys were mentioning that on the Sportsnet panel is that sometimes maybe not just making a move for the sake of making a move and just if it wasn't the right fit, then don't do it. Don't just go out and get a guy for the sake that you said you went out and got a guy. Yeah. It has to be somebody that fits in with your system, and it might give the group confidence that you didn't go out and trade anybody or get rid of anybody in the room, that you're content with your group right now, which I think can go both ways, but...
And that's where I see the situation Nashville's in. Like I meant earlier, it's just I don't think David Poyle. I think in his mind, the team is starting to. Now they haven't been great, but they're getting better, and under the coach. But the problem is in Nashville, and in my opinion, top stars and top players and the guys making all the money ain't doing nothing. They're doing nothing at all right now. They can't score. They really can't do anything. So Coach Hines is having to crack this whip and having to ride these guys so hard that I'm worried that the tune is gonna ride out quick on these guys. And I've always said we're a very inconsistent team. The guys that we do have with the stars, in quotes, that we do have, they're very inconsistent stars. And in my opinion, you can't really be a star if you're inconsistent. So it's a situation we're in, a situation Toronto's in. It's, a lot of teams are in that influx right now.
In Nashville, they have a lot of money tied up to a lot of guys with terms, so it's hard to.
Yeah, I mean, our core is basically locked in for the next 4 to 5 years, unless we make trades for hockey trades. Where a situation where Johansson or Turris or somebody like that for another player, that is completely possible in the off season, but that is not going to happen at the trade deadline. I promise you that.
According to Pierre LeBrun, don't think the Habs are done yet. 2 minutes ago.
Okay.
So, might be something brewing with Marc Bergevin and the Montreal Canadiens.
Bergevin?
And don't necessarily sit here and think that it's going to be something really minor, because over the years we've seen, as you know,
there's big trades at the end.
Philip Forsberg comes in at the last minute trades here.
And also, I forgot about this. I saw a rumor earlier from a few different people. The first person I saw it from was Eklund, and I'm like, yeah, okay, there's no way. Then I saw it from somebody else, and I was like, oh, that's a little more reliable. Okay. And it's more than likely would have to happen in the offseason again for salary reasons. There were rumors floating out that Patrick Kane and Duncan Keith, because the only way that Chicago would ever trade Patrick Kane is if somebody takes Keith with them, that those two were going to be traded.
Now that's a rumor.
That's a big rumor. I would love for that to happen.
If only Buffalo could get their hands on the local boy, Patrick Kane.
So you can beat up more taxi drivers in your town?
Yeah, okay.
Well, hey, he did it, not me.
I forgive.
Yeah,
but,
we know.
Right. Anyways, Patrick Kane, he's 31 years old. He's got a $10.5 million cap hit for 3 more years after this year. Then, like you said, Duncan Keith is the one they'd really like to get rid of, because Duncan Keith, 36 years old now, obviously was a great defenseman for many years, was the key piece on their back end that led to the Blackhawks dynasty and them winning multiple Stanley Cups. And he's a fantastic player over his career, but just now it didn't, at this stage in his career, now they're paying for it at the end of that long-term contract they gave him, because at 36 years old, for the next 3 years after this year, he's making a $5.53 million. So for a guy that's in a huge decline, like you said, I'm sure they would love to get rid of Duncan Keith, but they might have to entice somebody with Patrick Kane to do that. Chicago does not own a second-round pick this year, by the way. And they do not own a third in next year. They also have a cap space of $150,000 at the moment. Actually, sorry, that was their projected cap space. Their current cap space is $12 million. So I'm sure they had to deal with the players that they moved out, with the Gustafsons and the Leonard and guys like that. You looking at anything right now?
I was just scrolling through trying to find some stuff, but there's just not a whole lot going on right now. It's pretty wild. It's like you said, it's too quiet. Way too quiet.
There's got to be something going on here, because
not enough teams saying that they're done.
Yeah.
So.
God, would you love to be a fly on that room in the NHL trade call room, hearing who's on who's waiting to do trades, like who's on hold and everything like that. Jason. And
also, just a quick. Sorry, no, you're fine. I just want to throw something in there real quick. Per NHL rules, a player must be on an NHL roster at 3 Eastern today in order to be eligible to be sent down from the NHL at any time after the rest of the season. So a lot of teams, you got to think, if you got a guy who's up with who could be sent down, he ain't gonna be eligible to play in the playoffs if he wasn't technically on the team this afternoon. Like Toronto called up Kevin Gravel, so he's probably not going to be able to be on their roster. Nashville had Jared Tenorti, Colin Blackwell up. They're not going to be able to be sent down during the playoffs now. unless it's a late transaction that goes through that was sent in, just hasn't been updated on a website. But something to think about is what I was kind of throwing in there.
Yeah, certain guys can't end up playing in the playoffs, so what's the point of getting them?
Yep.
Jason Botterill to speak with the media around 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Can be heard on WGR 550.
The Buffalo's pretty done then. If
Yeah,
they're going to have a press conference in 15 minutes, they're
yeah.
done.
Yeah, they announced they're done. Apparently, there's a rumor that the Habs just made a call to the Leafs to ask what it would take to get Tyson Barrie.
That's interesting.
Could you imagine a trade between
The Habs and the
Toronto?
Leafs.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting. It'd be something we haven't seen in long and or ever. I'm sure it's happened, obviously, back in when there were 6 teams. Modern times, that's a rare occurrence, that's for sure.
Another team that's interesting that haven't announced that they're done yet are the New York Rangers. Henrik Lundqvist is still out there.
I did see something earlier where Lundqvist said he was going to be talking down with management after the season's over to discuss his future. So I'd say he's probably, and especially with the injury to Shesterkin, I highly doubt he's going anywhere right now.
Yeah. Again, with these high salaries, it's hard to do it right
And that
now.
too. I mean, yeah, you just can't trade a guy with a $7 million cap hit at the deadline. It's not something you could just whoop there or take him.
That's why that Parise and Andrew Ladd deal didn't get done.
I'm sure that broke down immediately, or not immediately, but after a while, because you got to work salaries out, and I'm sure Minnesota, who's trying to dig themselves out of a hole, I'm sure they want to get that salary off the books. Don't get me wrong, but it's just like I said. Would you rather keep Parise for another year or two and hope that he gets hurt with the way he plays and his age, and put him on lifetime injury reserve and then save the entire cap hit, or get Andrew Ladd, who's a year younger? Now, he could get hurt too, don't get me wrong, but it's just, I don't know. That's a catch-22. That's a big grenade.
Both those contracts are horrendous.
Yeah.
GM Jim Rutherford of the Pittsburgh Penguins on Sheary and Rodriguez. Connor returns as a known face to our team and a player familiar with winning. Evan is a skilled winger that can play any forward position and adds to our depth up front. So there you go for Pittsburgh. They're
good for depth. I don't know about skilled, but yeah, good for depth. I'll give him that.
Pittsburgh's another team that's really loaded up front today. I mean, they go and they get Sheary back, they get Marlowe, they obviously got Jason Zucker last week, and Evan Rodriguez. So definitely filling out their
if
bottom
their D
six.
and goaltending can hold up, they have got a pretty scary chance at doing some damage.
You might want to check the Anaheim Ducks Twitter. Nine minutes ago, more to come. Oh, that was the Sonny Milano trade. Okay. Never mind. I forgot that we talked about that trade already.
Yep.
So, I guess
Gustafsson earlier went to the Flames. That is announced now for a 3rd rounder.
Okay, 3rd round pick for Eric Gustafsson. Not the worst trade in the world. What about Derek Grant for a 4th round pick, Ty? Is that your favorite trade of the day? that trade really broke you, didn't it?
Announcement out of Nashville. Poyle will address the media at 4:30 Eastern. So that will, there's time there technically for a trade, but I'm guessing with the announcement of that's probably not going to happen. But also it could happen. There's still time. There's still time.
Yeah, maybe he'll go and get Derek Grant from Flyers.
Well, I don't think the Flyers are going to give up the 4th and then trade him. It's possible.
Well, unless
same day.
Unless they're Buffalo and they get better value, or they get worse value.
Yeah, that usually doesn't happen on the same day, though.
I know. It was just a jab at Buffalo.
I got you.
And I like the Calle Rosen trade back for the Leafs, them getting him back from Colorado. He was one of the pieces that they gave up in the Tyson Barrie Kerfoot for Kadri trade. So Calle Rosen's coming back already to the Leafs, and they gave away Michael Hutchinson, who his career is
tried to waive
over.
anyway.
Yeah, Colorado could have had him for nothing. So, sure, they end up giving up Calle Rosen for him. So I don't really know what the point of that was, but sure, Colorado. I guess they want the Colorado Eagles to have an AHL superstar, Michael Hutchinson, down there. I don't know.
So NHL Network is actually showing some stats right now about the goaltender comparison between Flurry and Leonard. Leonard is basically dominant this year, whereas Flurry is 36th in save percentage, 44th in slot shots per game, 51st in slot save percentage, and 41st in goals saved per game.
Yeah, so Fleury's not having a great year.
So they could have done that because they don't really trust in Fleury, and Leonard's a much better goalie this year. So it's could be the demise of Fleury in Las Vegas, and could be Leonard new starting goalie for Vegas for a while. I mean, he's still young and he's still just coming into his prime. So
I don't know. I don't really know what to say at this point. We're waiting for teams to admit
trade?
that they're done. No,
the trade
is it big enough?
No.
Okay.
Brandon Davidson to San Jose.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Big deal right there. Doug Wilson must have been on the phone for hours about that trade. What do you think, while we're waiting here, what are some of your favorite moves of the day so far? Like, maybe give me, like, your top 3 favorite moves of the day so
far. My favorite move of the day would probably be the Vince Trocheck trade by the Hurricanes. I really like that one. My second would probably be the Andreas Athanasiou for 2 seconds. I thought that was a really great deal for Edmonton. We still haven't heard about all these other things, but Brady Shay for a first, because it's going to be a late first. That's not a bad deal for Carolina either. I mean, that's a few. I think that we've had a good day. Some big names have been traded. This has been one of the more active trade deadlines I can remember in probably the last 4 to 5 years.
Yeah, our show last year was pretty rough. We were struggling last year.
I listened. I remember. And most trade deadlines are like that because of, like I was saying earlier, prices are just too high. But it seems like this year, it seems like people were being a little more reasonable. And also, I'll tell you another thing. In past seasons in the NHL, there has not been as much parity in the league as there is today. And I say that as in, look at the Pacific Division. Isn't everybody technically still in? Still be in the playoffs? I mean, it's a pretty unbelievable thing. Yes.
What?
Oh my God, Nashville made a trade.
Is it intro breaking newsworthy?
No, but it's amazing.
Oh God,
Matt Irwin and a pick for Holzer. Oh, Matt Irwin, pack your shit. I hated you from day one. Get your garbage can on skates ass out of here. Thank God.
What is the draft pick?
I don't know. Don't care.
According to Pierre LeBrun of TSN. So you make a trade with your favorite team, the Anaheim Ducks.
And I'll take Corbinian Holzer. It's not like he's good, but dang, he's got to be better than Matt Irwin.
I find it hilarious that the one piece
a goalie
Nashville wanted
is better than Matt Irwin.
The one piece that Nashville didn't want anymore was Matt Irwin, and they finally found a way to get him out of there.
Oh, my man. Well, Nashville fans are probably going to go ape over that one. That's not a big deal, obviously, but I'm sorry. He had to have been one of the worst defensemen I've ever seen play the game of hockey in my life. I've been watching hockey since I was 10 years old. I'm 26 now. I've been playing it for most of that time. I have never seen a defenseman. I've seen beer league defensemen better than Matt Irwin.
What about Scotty Hannon in his day?
Scotty Hannon was a great defenseman. You like to rag on Scotty Hannon a lot, but because you love Brad Stewart, and I talk about it. Scotty Hannon was just as good as Brad Stewart.
But Scotty Hannon for a 7th round pick?
Well, okay, but that turned out to have been just throwback here for you guys. When me and Brandon Cappy have been friends for a long time. So when Nashville, that trade deadline where we traded for Forsberg at the end of the day, I was getting off and I was in college at the time, and I was going to a class and I said, if all we do today is trade Scotty Hannon for a 7th-round pick, I am going to be hot. Hot. Super pissed. So I go to class. Of course, I'm not paying any attention in class because trade deadline. And last 2 teams to come across, I haven't turned in to say they're done for the day. Nashville and Washington. Of course, my mind, Ovechkin, because that was the time where Ovechkin was talked about being traded. So, of course, Ovechkin's my favorite player of all time. So, of course, he right to my mind. And once I settled down and thought that ain't ever going to happen, and heard the news about Martin Erat for Philip Forsberg, I just about fell over in class, and I just about had to leave the room. I was so dang excited. Honestly, I didn't even really – I knew Forsberg a little, but I was just happy to get Martin Erat off my team at that point.
Predators legend Marty Erat.
Yeah, your boy.
He is. But
so, yeah, it's Corbanian and Holzer coming to Nashville.
Well, again, it gets Matt Irwin out of there. So sometimes it's an addition by subtraction, Ty. By subtracting Matt Irwin out of the lineup.
So I guess there's been more details on Vatanen trade, and they're actually legit now. This was Elliot Friedman, I guess. I was watching Bob McKenzie earlier. I guess he got it wrong. Vatanen goes to Carolina for Frederick Clayson. I don't even know if it's Frederick Clayson. It just says Clayson.
Come up with a name.
I thought it was because I've heard the name before. Yanni Kukkonen and a conditional 4th, but can move up to a 3rd pending Vatanen's games played. So they gave up nothing. Kukkonen's a good prospect, but again, that is a good rental trade.
No,
oh, by the way, the trade finally came through. The big Montreal trade is Nick Cousins is going to Las Vegas. So big deal over that. Over nothing.
There it is, Mark Bergevin.
Everybody in Montreal's got to hype up. I'm telling you, you guys, Canadian media over hockey is just like football and basketball media here, y'all. The Canadian teams get hyped over every big trade coming through at the end here, and then Nick Cousins. You
know what? Let's break Nick Cousins trade here.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's what Nick Cousins. I'll tell you what Nick Cousins is good for being my extra player on franchise because he could win faceoffs and play on my 4th line if an injury occurs. That's what Nick Cousins is good for.
Yeah. So there's the big analysis of Nick Cousins going to the Vegas Golden Knights.
You're getting my NHL GM experience there.
I'm wondering if that Parise and Ladd trade will get done in the summer when they have more time to figure it out.
Well, from what I was reading, that trade had been being talked about since last summer, and it kind of picked up again later on. But who knows, man? Who knows? These NHL GMs, they'll talk to one another for a while, and they'll get pissed off at each other. They won't talk for a few months, and they'll be back to being best friends at the draft. It's just, these guys are just as petty as some of the players are.
Travis Yost from TSN tweeted, "This is the ultimate trade deadline deal. The Irwin and a pick for Corbinian Holzer trade."
Yeah. Yep. And I'm sure it's probably a 6th or a 7th. If it's a 5th or a 4th, if it's even a 5th, I will not be very happy. Because Corbinian, was he even playing for them?
I believe he's been a healthy scratch at points this season.
I mean, which is fine. I mean, hell, Irwin's been a healthy scratch past few games too, but if we give up more than that, I mean, a Corbanian Holzer can't be that big of an up. Well, I take that back. He could be a huge upgrade over Matt Irwin, but in the minds of NHL GMs, I doubt he's that big of an upgrade. But in my mind, we just got Shea Weber compared to a piece of poop.
I just look at Anaheim and it's like, all right, we'll take on this horrendous defenseman if you give us a draft pick. Because Holzer's a free agent.
I'm sure that was Anaheim probably just offered the pick for Holzer, Holzer for the pick, and Nashville was probably like, well, no, we got too many D-men. You gonna have to take one of these bums. To take your pick, you want Hamhuis, you want Irwin. Weber's been playing better, so I'll keep him. But yeah, you take your pick of those two. And I guarantee you David Boyle would not have traded Hamhuis away because he loves Dan Hamhuis and because he's been here before and he respects him as a pro, even though he screwed us before. So, that's what I think about him as a pro is screw him.
There might be another trade coming in, and I'm just trying to figure it out. But it's pretty decent trade, I would say. But I'm just I'm gonna sit here and wait for it.
Yeah, we'll hold off till it's official.
Yeah.
Because I made the mistake earlier thinking about the Vaughn trade, but heck, McKenzie tweeted it, and I only follow the good McKenzie, so.
And it looks like it's a decent trade for the team that's acquiring this player. He's still a young enough player where he might make an impact, and it's actually involving the Anaheim Ducks, so
Anaheim still is just on it today.
They're still not done.
So this would be why this is taking so long. It's probably because Anaheim's clogged up the phones. We got 4 trades.
Yeah, one of them includes Matt Irwin and Corbinian Holzer. All right, well, I'm being told it's official, but I haven't seen it being official yet.
Well, why don't we take a break?
Oh,
pay for some bills and.
Well, it's being tweeted by Sirius XM NHL Radio. So if that's good enough for you, then I'm ready to break it.
I do it, man.
The Anaheim Ducks have acquired Christian Juice from the Washington Capitals in exchange for Daniel Sprong.
What?
Yep.
So hold up. They trade Kasha. All Anaheim fans are going, yeah, great. We didn't give up Sprong. Sprong's better than Kasha anyway. And then they trade Sprong too. Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's being tweeted by Frank Saravelli now of TSN.
And all they got was Christian Juice.
I mean, Juice is decent.
Yeah, but he's a 4th defenseman. Sprong's a second-line winger.
Well, I mean, he's not right now, but he has
not now, but he could
potential to be. He's always one of those guys that you look at, especially in GM mode and the shell games, that you look at and has good potential, but never amounts to anything. But he's a guy that I would definitely I think if Washington might be a perfect fit for him. Wouldn't it be funny if he's a first round pick of Pittsburgh, didn't work out there, and then ends up going Washington, their rival, and does well with that team. So
Nashville's officially done for the day.
They got rid of Matt Irwin. That's all.
Got rid of Matt Irwin. We're done.
Matt Irwin's probably what he's thinking right now.
I don't care what he's thinking. Robin Leonard. Let's see. The details for that one have come out. It's going to be Malcolm Subban, Slava Demon, and a 2nd-round pick.
Okay. Well, Malcolm Subban, I guess, has some value left for a team. I don't know.
I mean, Corey Crawford's going to play the rest of the year anyway, so they just needed a backup goalie.
Well, depends on if Crawford gets another concussion, then he's finished.
Well, and then at that point, Malcolm Subban has started some games, so you got a guy who's got a little experience. He's not the greatest, but he's got some experience, so it's probably better than what they had, which I think was Colin D'Elia.
Yeah. Anaheim's actually made a lot of trades today, surprisingly.
Yeah, and I think that's what's clogging up the registry, because I did just read that the registry is backed up right now.
Okay.
So things are going to come out. They're going to trickle out. Whether or not it's big, little. My guess is being this late, it's probably going to be more depth and little moves. I have a feeling we've seen the end of the big trades because we would have heard about it already. It's my guess.
I think Sprong for Juice is a pretty significant one.
It's a significant one for Washington in terms of, again, it's a just like I was talking earlier, high risk or low risk, high reward. Yep. Christian Juice probably wasn't going to be re-signed this offseason. He was going to be an RFA, so yeah, he probably could have got a 3rd or a 4th for whatever he signs for in terms of compensation. But you end up getting a guy who was a former 1st-round pick and could turn – or was he 2nd round or 1st round? Maybe he was 2nd round.
Who?
Sprong.
Sprong was a 1st.
Okay, so he's a 1st. So a former 1st-round pick who hasn't necessarily come up to his potential being on 2 different teams, but playing with an offensive-minded team like Washington could help him. And playing with playmakers like that. So it's a good trade for Washington.
I'm trying to look for Sprong on Cap Friendly. Oh, there he is. He's in the minors right now. He was a second round pick, 42nd or 46th.
That's what I thought.
overall.
He was a second. That's what I thought. 'Cause he was projected as first, and he dropped.
Yeah. Apparently Montreal's got a trade in the queue, so maybe we'll find that out by the time we get back from our next commercial break here. So we'll be right back here on our trade deadline special right here on the Armchair GMs Sports Network. Carmine's Pizzeria Italiano, serving Italian pizzas made with the freshest, top-quality ingredients. Loaded subs and our famous chicken wings, winners of the 2017 Reader's Choice Awards, and the brand-new recipients of the 2019 Reader's Choice Diamond Award from Niagara this week for Best Pizza in Niagara Falls. Open daily, located on the corner of Drummond Road and Dunn Street. Available for call-ahead pickup or delivery. 905-374-4400. Debit and credit accepted for both. You've tried the rest. It's time to try us. Carmine's Pizzeria Italiano. Attention job seekers. If you're currently looking for work in the Niagara region, you owe it to yourself to check out the services provided by the Niagara Employment Help Center, located at 6100 Thoroldstone Road, Niagara Falls. Free services include resource area open to the public, resume and cover letter writing, community resource and referral information, local labor market information, job search strategies, assistance with clarifying employment training and career goals, employment counseling and job search support, second career information and registration assistance, and check out our available workshops under our events calendar on our website for more details at www.ehc.on.ca. The Niagara Employment Help Center. Marcel Dion Inc. Come in and check out our store and meet Marcel Dion himself. We have wall-to-wall NFL, MLB, and NHL licensed products and all kinds of collectibles. We specialize in autographed sports memorabilia. If you don't see what you're looking for, just ask and we'll find it for you. So next time you need a great gift idea for that sports fanatic in your life, or you need to add to your own collection, come visit us first. You won't be disappointed. 905-357-7678, Marcel Dion Inc. Chippin' Charlie's, it's where the locals go. Fun, friendly, and entertaining staff. You're not just a customer, you're family. Lots of TVs, amazing food, and always a great time. Open daily 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. Call 905-371-3428 for inquiries and reservations, located at 8189 Lundy's Lane, Niagara Falls. Chippin' Charlie's, it's where the locals go. Mid-City Motors Niagara, your premium source for pre-owned vehicles. Financing and leasing for all types of credit. Check them out at 4460 Drummond Road, Niagara Falls, or at mcmniagara.com. They are also happy to announce Mid-City Mechanic is now open. They can repair, maintain, and service all makes and models of vehicles. Conveniently located behind Mid-City Motors at Drummond Road and Perkins Street. They will be happy to help you keep your car on the road. 905-371-2277. That's Mid-City Motors and Mid-City Mechanic. You're listening to the Armchair GMs Sports Network. All right, guys, welcome back to our trade deadline special as a part of the Under Review podcast here on the Armchair GM Sports Network. And it's just over 4 o'clock Eastern time here. Again, the deadline was at 3 o'clock Eastern time, but with the logjam and pending trade calls, teams are not done yet, we're being told. Montreal still has a deal in the queue as well, so we'll have to wait and see till that one trickles in. But, Ty, anything else you're reading right now?
Just what you were saying about Montreal, Nick Cousins, it looks like it's going to be a pick. No details, obviously. There was some interesting little tidbit about Robin Leonard here. Apparently, Robin Leonard offered Chicago to take they offered him a 3-year contract, he'd take less money to stay with the Blackhawks. But they never gave him the offer. And they've traded him. So, I don't know what Chicago's smoking. If he's willing to take less money, you keep Robin Leonard.
Especially with, Corey Crawford with his concussion problems.
Concussion problems. He's 38 or 37. He's old. He's not a spring chicken. And, that's an interesting situation, in my opinion. I didn't see that one coming. So maybe Leonard likes, maybe appreciates Vegas so much he signs a friendly deal so they can try to find a way to get Flurry out. I don't know how many more years Flurry has.
Oh, let me look it up for you. I'll tell you
Well,
right now.
you do that. I was going to
right
do it,
now.
but if you're going to do it for me, you definitely do it.
Marc-Andre Fleury has 2 years left at $7 million. He's currently 35 years old.
Yeah, that ain't going to work.
Also, Malcolm Subban is an RFA, so I guess Chicago has some control
Chicago's
with him.
basically going to restart goaltending next year.
But he's an RFA, so I mean they still have control over him.
Yeah, but I doubt they keep Malcolm Subban. They're going to look for a starter.
I didn't realize that they put Alex Tuck on long-term IR.
Yeah, I did not realize that either. It was just probably how they're able to afford all these guys. 4th round pick for Nick Cousins.
Wow, there you go. Montreal Canadiens stockpiling a bunch of these mid-round picks. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about that?
About the 4th?
About them just acquiring a bunch of lower-end draft picks.
Like I said, once you get to, I mean, you can find some gems. Don't get me wrong. I'm a Nashville Predators fan. That's what we do. But that doesn't get me out of bed in the morning to try to go trade things. So it's something. Because a lot of these guys, they're not gonna do anything. They're not making the playoffs. They're not whatever. So might as well cut the dead weight that you're not gonna try to keep anyway and get something for them. It just really shocks me how now getting a 4th for Nick Cousins, that's pretty good. Some of these have been a little underpayments, like I said. It's been a little odd in that sense on how much it really hasn't been. Usual trade deadlines, there are some ridiculous overpayments. And there is, to me, I have not seen a ridiculous overpayment yet, except for maybe Blake Coleman. In my opinion, that was a ridiculous overpayment. But again, like I explained earlier, Tampa Bay's not paying for – yes, they're paying for trading for the player and for the 30 goals or close to 30 goals and for how good he's been. But they're also playing for the fact that – or they're trading for the fact that he has a cap hit of less than $2 million. That's what they're trading for. They want that money flexibility to sign their top guys.
Yeah, Montreal needs a lot of help right now. So they're just trending in a downward spiral. So they've made a few trades today, trading out Nate Thompson, Ilya Kovalchuk, and now Nick Cousins. So
yep. So I mean, you're getting a bunch of 3rd, 4th, and 5th round picks, which is nice. Don't get me wrong. But again, that don't hop me out of bed to really care too much about it. Plus, it's a 2021 4th. Apparently, Derek Forbert was for a 2021 4th, so LA got that from Calgary. There's that detail. So yeah, a lot of 20. This is another interesting thing to me. I don't know if you've noticed it. There's been a lot of 2021 picks and almost no 2020 picks. Is the 2020 draft that much weaker than the 2021?
I feel like the first round is going to be very good for the NHL draft, and there's even going to be some value in the 2nd and 3rd round there. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's a weak draft.
Which is why I'm wondering: does that mean that the 2021 draft is just supposed to be that much stronger, and that's why teams are acquiring that, or
teams don't want to give up their 2020 because they really like this draft, so they're giving up 2021.
That's possible too. But if you're a team but why would you agree to that? If you're a team that's trading these players, you know what I'm saying?
Well, I guess they don't really have a choice in the matter.
Well, yeah, that's possible too. There just seems to be too much for it to not be a possibility for these GMs to just be like, oh, no, I want this year. And if not, then I'll trade him to somebody else for this year.
I'm still waiting to see if some teams are done.
Yeah, there's apparently, again, this could be going on for the next 30 to 40 minutes. From what I'm reading, it's very log jammed.
With what?
I don't know.
Brandon Davidson goes to the Sharks for future considerations, by the way.
Well, nothing announced on that one then.
Jim Benning is having his press conference right now in Sportsnet, and he just announced that Markstrom is out with a lower body injury and will have an MRI tomorrow.
So they're done.
but that's why they went and got Louis Domingue, I guess. Like you said, I guess they realized that Markstrom's injury might be more serious than they had anticipated. You went over the deals that you liked. Some of the deals that I really liked. One that I think you were away when I was discussing it, but I really like Alec Martinez going to the Vegas Golden Knights. I think that's a very nice trade. I know they gave up 2 second-round picks for the guy, but he's a guy that you want to have in the playoffs. He scored the OT winner and the Stanley Cup winning goal for the LA Kings, those years ago. But I really like Alec Martinez as a depth defenseman. He blocks a lot of shots, and in the right situation, I think with Vegas he can chip in enough offensively. But obviously they acquire him to be more of a stabilizer on the D. But he's one of those guys that I just look at like he's a prototypical playoff defenseman that you want to have in the lineup.
I was hoping that was if Nashville was going to be buyers for anyone, that was the only guy I really wanted, and maybe Dylan from San Jose. Other than that, I really didn't want Nashville to go after anybody else.
The trades that happened before today, a lot of them I really liked. Like I like the Alec Martinez trade might be my favorite.
I like the Toffoli deal.
The Toffoli deal was really good. Montreal getting a second for Scandella with a conditional fourth after they basically fleeced Buffalo for a fourth for him and then flipped them for more, which again, we don't know what the price was a month ago compared to now, but the Bruins getting Shay for the first and then them taking Backus on as well for them to eventually clear up the space to get Nick Ritchie, which we saw. So I really like the trades that Boston made, as much as I hate to admit it because I can't stand the Boston Bruins, but looking at it objectively, those are 2 really good additions for the Boston Bruins. Shout out to our buddy Ragu.
Oh, yeah.
Ilya Kovalchuk for a third. Montreal picking up a guy or trading away a guy they got for free and getting a 3rd-round pick out of it. But that's a nice pickup for Washington. It's we always said what would we like to see Kovalchuk and Ovechkin together, and I know that Kovalchuk isn't what he used to be, but it's still going to be kind of cool to see those two on the same team. It's kind of like when Bure and Mogilny finally got to play together. Or, you know what I mean? Like, it happened. It didn't happen in the prime years, but it still happened. Still got to see, 2 elite guys like that play together.
Another trade, it's a small one. Okay. Marcus Hannakainen to the Arizona Coyotes for a 7th to Columbus in this year's draft.
Hardakainen?
No, Hannakainen. Marcus Hannikainen.
Okay.
And Columbus receives the 2020 7th-round pick if Hannikainen plays in 10 games for Arizona. So I'm guessing if he doesn't play in 10 games, they just get nothing. Because you can't really go lower than a 7th.
Buffalo Twitter is tweeting Kahuna Matata right now for Dominic.
Wow, well, that's nice.
I understand why Columbus has all these Finnish defensemen because look at who their GM is, but it's just funny they got all these ridiculous Finnish names on their decor. Like Hardakainen is the other guy that I was thinking of.
Yep.
Elliot Friedman says from Jim Benning that Louis Domingue will back up Thatcher Demko tomorrow in Montreal. So there's that.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I think they're wanting to give DiPietro some time in the minors, and they didn't want to call him up this early just to be a backup for a month, not play. That's just stunts goalie development. So makes sense.
I have the TV muted, so I can't hear what Jim Benning's saying, but it could be 3 to 4 weeks.
Yep.
For Markstrom. So that they had to make a move like that. Oh my gosh, we got a minor league deal here. My goodness. The Flyers have traded TJ Brennan to the Chicago Blackhawks for Nathan Noel, who will report to the ECHL.
Wow. Yep.
So TJ Brennan, AHL superstar, can never get it done while he's in the NHL. He's moving again to, I guess, the Chicago Blackhawks. We'll see if he sticks with the Blackhawks or he's going to have to report to Rockford. We'll have to wait and see. But
Minor trade, but your boy TJ Brennan is headed from the Philadelphia Flyers to the Blackhawks for Nathan Noel.
It's literally what I just said.
Oh, I'm sorry. I totally was blanked out when you said the names, I guess. My bad.
Yeah, that's literally what I'm talking about right now. So Brennan, I don't think he'll get a chance with Chicago, but we'll see.
Well, hey, they traded a defenseman away. It's possible.
Yeah, well, apparently that defenseman's so good that he has to report not even to the AHL, but to the ECHL. So there's that. Did we really have to wait in the queue for that? Did that have to be something that couldn't be something that was done, yesterday? Why did that have to be done now? Was there really that much of a dispute between TJ Brennan and Nathan Noel, who doesn't even have to report to their top two teams in the organization? Like, come on. What is that? This Markstrom injury is interesting because Vancouver, and I'll give you credit, I'll give a little backstory at the beginning of the year. You and I were discussing Western Conference and Pacific Division playoff implications, and I said there was no chance in hell Vancouver was going to be anywhere near a playoff spot. And then you said, well, I bet they're better than San Jose. And then I told you, you were smoking something good down there.
Smoking the hopium.
And said that there was no chance that Vancouver would be better than San Jose this year. Well, I have to eat crow on this one.
Yeah, they are.
That they are. So Vancouver,
but
although they're in a rebuilding stage.
You can also throw a little bit back at me because I also said I thought Edmonton was going to squeak in too, and I don't know about that. It's possible, but I don't know.
But Vancouver's still in a rebuild phase, but I think they're farther ahead than what people expected them to be at this point.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I just think they have depth issues because if, like now, Besser goes down, that's why they had to trade for Toffoli. Who else do you have that's going to play? Sven Barshy? Louis Eriksson? No.
Not now. Definitely not. Let me quickly look at Vancouver because I feel like Markstrom's going to be a big loss for them if he's out for a while because he's played really well for them. Remember Jacob Markstrom was one of the if not the most highly sought after goalie prospect in the NHL at one point. When he was drafted by the Florida Panthers back in the day. He had a lot of upside for them.
Oh yeah, I used to think that Markstrom was the next big thing, and it's just again goalies. And people give up on them too quick nowadays, but goalies do not start hitting their stride till about 26, 27. That's just most of the time. Now there are obviously outliers, but most goalies, it takes them a while to get their stuff together. I mean, you got to think you're going from taking shots against 16 and 17-year-olds and to going up to taking shots against 23 to 35-year-olds who have been playing in the professionals for years.
Well, don't tell David Ayers that.
Well, he took 6 shots in the third period. That's all I got to say. But again, I'm happy for him. But he took 6 shots.
Markstrom, he's 30 years old. He's actually a UFA at the end of this year. But I could definitely see them re-signing him to bridge the gap till Thatcher Demko is going to be taking over as the starter, as he is another one of the most highly sought-after goalie prospects in hockey. I guess he's not really a prospect anymore now that he's up in the NHL, but he still has a lot of promise for them and projects to be their elite goalie going forward. But I think if they bring back Markstrom for a year or two, I think that could definitely help. Not rush Thatcher Demko into that. Like you said, he's only 24, so maybe he's got a few more years left before he really comes into his own and takes over the Vancouver starting role there.
Yeah, and I think that's what they really want for Demko is to take his time. And that's why I think it's good for them that they have Markstrom, who is playing so well, and he's in that prime spot in his career where for the next 3 to 4 years he will be at the top of his game. I mean, just look at Pecorino. He's really hit his stride here in his 30s, and now he's getting up there now, and it's starting to fall off. But you hit your prime years from right around for a goalie, right about 28, 29, until you're about 33, 34. Goalies don't have long primes usually.
No, but so yeah, Markstrom's going to be out for a little bit. Mark Bergevin's at the podium now, so he's done with all of his huge trades that he's made today.
Yeah, so they're done for the day.
Still,
So it looks like a lot of teams are done, but still a lot of teams not announced.
Some teams have Did you say that Poyo was having a press conference at 4:30?
Yes.
So Nashville is most likely done.
Yeah, I already said that earlier. They're officially done. They're done.
They're officially done? Okay.
They're done. Yep. Irwin getting shipped out. That's us.
I don't know how much longer we're going to have today, but we'll take our last commercial break on the show today and come back, and we'll see if we'll have something to talk about here for the last half hour. We'll just shut it down. But we'll be back here after our last commercial break here on the Trade Deadline special on the Armchair GMs Sports Network. Nestled in the heart of beautiful Ridgeway, Ontario, the Ridge Film House offers up films celebrating diversity, integrity, and pure entertainment. Join us for a quaint movie-going experience complete with an in-house bar, luxury seating, and carefully curated films. Join us for a cinematic experience that focuses on comfort and quality. Our films are carefully selected to fit our specific mandate, screening films that the larger cineplexes won't. Each month, our 10x15 screens show you the best in independent, foreign, classic, and second-run films. The Ridge Film House is also available for private screenings, parties, and festivals. Come and discover hidden gems or rediscover the classics one more time. Located at 320 Ridge Road in Ridgeway, www.ridgefilmhouse.com, or call 289-303-8367 for availability and showtimes. The Ridge Film House, a truly unique movie-going experience. J&L Flooring is a Niagara-based specialty flooring and design company. They take great pride in providing elite customer service and support. They are a specialty flooring and decor boutique shop with a beautiful showroom, great pricing, and a wide variety and truly unique selection of products. All their products are environmentally friendly and responsibly produced, so you can feel great about your flooring choices. Their goal as a local business is to build authentic relationships based on honesty and integrity that they foster with respect and authenticity. Offering a unique and wide range of quality products presented by a knowledgeable and patient team, they connect with their customers to simplify the process to make their life easier and to make their homes beautiful. Visit them at 4424 Montrose Road, Niagara Falls, or find out more at jnlflooring.com. Open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. through 5 p.m., and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. 905-358-3299 J&L Flooring. The Spicy Olive Bar and Grill is located on the top of Clifton Hill and just a 5-minute walk from the majestic Niagara Falls. It is conveniently nestled in the heart of the tourist district. A family-owned and operated business, the Spicy Olive opened its doors in 2003 and has since been established as an authentic and unique Italian restaurant and bar. Its rustic ambiance and time-worn finishing provide a warm and inviting dining experience. Offering an array of delicious dishes, they specialize in authentic Italian cuisine, homemade sauces, fresh ingredients, and consistently provide a strong foundation on which they build their menu. As night falls, the Spicy Olive shifts to a lively lounge where dancing, martinis, and live music come together to make a perfect evening. Let Spicy Olive host your next function, birthday, private event, bridal, or baby shower. For more than 15 years, they have served not only their dedicated locals, but customers from all over the world with authentic Italian food and only the best in live entertainment. Located at 5026 Center Street, just off the historic Clifton Hill in Niagara Falls. They're open daily at noon till 10 p.m. and till 2 a.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. Call 905-371-2323 for reservations and special events. The Spicy Olive Bar and Grill. You're listening to the Armchair GMs Sports Network. All right, guys, welcome back to the final segment of today's NHL Trade Deadline. Full day coverage right here on the Under Review podcast as a part of the Armchair GMs Sports Network. Cappy and Ty back with you here. We've been with you all day here, breaking the trades and discussing the value going each way in the trades. Ty, it's about an hour and a half now after the deadline has passed. We've seen a few deals trickle in here. Still waiting to hear from some teams to see if they're done or not, but as of now, really nothing else to report at this point, rather than the Nick Cousins for I believe it was, a 4th-round draft pick?
Yeah.
And Mark Bergevin was just on the screen, so he was done. maybe we can just, while we're waiting here, just quickly go through all the trade, I'll quickly go through all the trades that were made today, and you give me a thumbs up or thumbs down if you like the trade or not. How about that?
Yeah, sounds good. Right. Sounds good.
So, first trade we had in the morning, Jean Gabriel Pageau from the Senators to the Islanders for a first, conditional first, a second, and a conditional third. Thumbs up or thumbs down?
If without the extension, I probably would have given it a thumbs in the middle, just because see how it went in the playoffs and everything went. But with the extension, I'll give it a thumbs up.
Next, we had the Florida Panthers acquiring Eric Haula, Lucas Wallmark, Chase Priskie, and Eetu Lutsurainen, 2 prospects there, the last 2, for Vincent Trocheck, the very good 2-way second-line center for the Florida Panthers. This one kind of shocking the hockey world with the Carolina Hurricanes being the ones to acquire him. Thumbs up or thumbs down on this one?
Thumbs up, and honestly, thumbs up for both teams. I think it was a good deal for Carolina to get that second line center they needed. I think it's good for Florida to get a bunch of nice players and prospects. They're a team that they're right there. They've got a good little core. They just need some guys to go with them, and I think some young talent to come up through the ranks will be good. Also found out that one of the guys traded, Chase Priskie, grew up in Florida and was a Florida Panthers fan. So that's always cool to see a kid go back to his hometown team. So always cool to me, especially if you're from the South, because I mean that's you grow up here, and it ain't like you don't have a whole lot of teams to root for and teams to coverage exactly,
yeah. in a non-traditional hockey market.
Yes, sure. And so it's very exciting to see kids because that's what I wanted to be when I grew up. I wanted to be a kid from Nashville, play for Nashville. So it's cool to see kids like that get to go back to their hometown teams, no matter what it is. But when it's a Southern kid and a Southern team, it always makes me feel really good for those guys.
Yep. Thumbs down for me, just because if I was the Buffalo Sabres, I would have given up way more to get Vincent Trocheck. But again,
it's like our insider Ragu said, you guys just didn't quite have the prospect in Chase Priskie, I guess, to put that deal over the edge. But I think it would have been a different deal, and I don't think that Florida was looking for prospect or picks necessarily. I think they wanted guys who were closer. So,
well, Austin and myself will be discussing that tomorrow on the Sabres Edition show. So check that. Yep. So listening to that when we talk about Wayne Simmons. Next, we had the Philadelphia Flyers acquiring veteran depth centerman Nate Thompson from the Montreal Canadiens for a 5th-round pick. Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Thumbs up. Nate Thompson's good veteran presence for, and again, like I was saying earlier, 4th, 5th-round picks, 6th-round picks, whatever. Montreal, they were getting rid of a guy. They're not really gonna. They can still technically make the playoffs. Will they? Doubtful, but especially now with all the stuff they've done and whatever. So you're getting something for nothing, essentially. I mean, you got to get what you can. So thumb up for both teams.
Next, the Pittsburgh Penguins acquired Patrick Marleau from the San Jose Sharks for a 3rd-round pick that is a condition on a 2nd-round pick if the Penguins win the Stanley Cup.
Very, very thumb up. I think this was one of the most underrated and probably one of the best deals of the day to get a player of Marleau. He's 40. He's not in his prime, but he can still score and can still wheel. So playing with guys like Crosby or Malkin, I think it's going to be really good for those guys and for the entire team. I think it'll help the younger wingers on that team learn how to be pros and learn. I mean, they're learning from one of the best. So, I think it's a great thing for all around for them. For San Jose, I feel like they probably could have gotten a little more. But I think they wanted to get deals done early so they knew what they had throughout the day, I think.
Yeah, and considering what they got for Barclay Goodrow, can't really complain about that. But it's sad to see Marleau go again after his swan song with the Sharks. But we'll have to see if he finally is able to win a cup here with Pittsburgh this year, as they've really loaded up today. Next, Calle Rosen goes back to the Toronto Maple Leafs in exchange for all-time Civ goaltender Michael Hutchinson. That goes back to, I'm going to say the Colorado Avalanche, but more likely the Colorado Eagles of the AHL.
Yeah, I'll give it a thumbs up from Toronto's side because they got rid of Hutchinson, and I don't really get it on Colorado's side necessarily unless they needed to get rid of a contract in order to pick up Hutchinson because they could have had him for free. So until something I read says otherwise, that's a thumbs down. Unless they give me an excuse, but thumb up for Toronto's side because they got Calle Rosen who can. I mean, that's a good depth defenseman for nothing basically.
They got him back, who was a piece that they get given up.
Yeah, I mean they gave him up and he comes back. He's familiar with the team. He played for Sheldon in Toronto for the Marlies, so he knows the coach, knows the system. That's a good trade for Toronto. Like I said, Colorado, I don't really get it unless they just needed to dump a contract. So bad trade for them.
Saying with that, if you want to hear more analysis of that from Leaf fans tonight, our Kyle and Jordan will be hosting the Niagara Hockey Lowdown Leafs edition later tonight.
Wait. You got Jordan doing this stuff with you guys now?
Jordan's on the Leaf show with Kyle, yes.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so if you want to hear some funny banter between those two, check out the Niagara Hockey Lowdown Leafs edition. Will be live tonight at some point. So they'll be talking about Calle Rosen for Michael Hutchinson, probably jumping up and down that they don't have Michael Hutchinson on their organization anymore.
That might be the two least knowledgeable Leaf fans I've ever heard talking about the Maple Leafs.
Ooh, shots fired. Shots fired. Anyways, if you want to hear more analysis from this trade, we'll be discussing it tomorrow between Buffalo and New Jersey. Wayne Simmons goes to the Sabres for a 5th-round pick from the New Jersey Devils. Austin and I will go in depth about that most likely more tomorrow. Thumbs up or thumbs down on that one, Ty?
What was it again? I apologize. I was reading the details of another trade. I'm so sorry.
Simmons for a 5th.
Thumb in the middle. Look, you guys are probably not making the playoffs with the way the team is laid out right now. So I don't really get giving picks away for for a player who it's not like he ain't gonna tilt the wheel in a direction to put you in the playoffs. So I don't. I'll go thumbs down just because it doesn't make much sense.
Did we know that Eric Gustafsson was going for a 3rd-round pick?
I know that was the one that we said the details hadn't come out yet. Yeah, so 2023, yep. And then also, Preds trade. It was, thank God, Matt Irwin in a 6th for Holzer.
There you go. It's almost Scotty Hannon for a 7th worthy, but
and that was a 20. Oh my God, it's the 6th round of the 2022 draft. What the heck?
So a 6th 2 years from now. That's fantastic. Was that the only 2022 trade?
I'm pretty sure.
No, the conditional 3rd for Pajot is a 2022.
Okay,
but that's conditional. This one is locked in 6th-round pick. We're gonna have to see
6th-round pick. Get out of here.
We're gonna have to wait and see what that 6th-round pick turns into eventually. See if it was worth anything.
I don't even look. He could turn out to be Wayne Gretzky. We got Matt Irwin off the team. I don't care.
That's true. Now, next trade we had your favorite of the day. Anaheim Ducks acquire Kyle Criscolo in a 4th-round pick in 2020, and the Flyers acquired Derek Grant.
Yeah. I guess Anaheim is playing garbage on their top lines because they have nobody else, and they're playing well this year. Well, they're not playing well, but they're getting points and playing minutes because they have to, because there's nobody else in Anaheim to play hockey. So I guess he was ranked. I'm sorry. Grant was ranked 9th on TSN or Sportsnet's ranked trade bait list. I'm sorry. I've seen the man play live. I've seen him play more than once. I've seen him play other teams, and he may have. Look, I haven't seen his stats from this season, so I can't sit here and say that he's had a bad or a good season or whatnot. I don't know. But from what I've seen in the past, I don't know how the hell you give up a 4th and another player. I'm sure that was just to get a contract off, but another player and a 4th for a guy who is probably going to be your 4th-line center or healthy scratch.
The Flyers, they picked up Nate Thompson and Derek Grant, two top-line players.
So what are you going to
So that's a thumbs that
which one of those two is going to be sitting in the press box?
So I guess that's a thumbs down for you on that one.
Of course it is.
2 thumbs down.
Thumbs up for Anaheim. They got a 4th-round pick for Grant.
Anaheim's been very active today. Their next trade they made was getting Danton Heinen from the Boston Bruins for Nick Ritchie. I really like this trade from the Bruins' perspective.
Yeah, I think if Nick Ritchie can bloom a little more, he's young still, so he's got time to grow. He hasn't necessarily been, I'm sure he's been playing third and fourth line minutes on Anaheim anyway. Well, no, I remember him playing on top line a few times with last year. Yeah. So, the points haven't necessarily been there, but it's a good depth move for Boston, who needs the depth, who really could use it right now because they're a team who's, especially the way the East got much better this trade deadline. Boston, I think, is the one who I still think they're the ones to beat in the East, but they have got a lot more trouble now than I think they thought they initially were going to have.
Yeah, I mean, look at what Carolina did today.
Carolina and New York did a lot of stuff.
Tampa Bay, the Islanders, and
Tampa
even
Bay
Washington.
Too. Yep.
So
yeah, Washington too. They made sneaky moves. It's not big moves that are going to jump off the page, but they're sneaky good. Trading Jews who they probably weren't going to keep for Sprong, who again, I love the high risk or low risk, high reward. It's just that's a good way to run your team instead of all these high risk moves all these guys want to try to do to pop their fan base on Twitter.
So I like that move, and Danton Heinen falling out of grace with the Bruins anyway, so maybe he can turn it around with the Ducks, but I give that a thumbs up too for that trade. Yeah,
it's two guys who are underperforming that probably need to change the scenery. And Danton Heinen, he was a pretty good player for a little while, so he could get more minutes with Anaheim. He could turn into a good player.
Yep.
And Nick Ritchie playing third line on Boston, he will be a steady third line player on Boston. So, not a big. It's a good trade for both sides, in my opinion.
So we got about 20 minutes left here. We got a few more trades to talk about. Matthew Pekka goes from Montreal to Ottawa for Aaron Luchuk and a 7th-round pick. Sure,
we can move on from that because I don't know who either of those two guys are, and a 7th-round pick is literally like throwing a dollar bill in the trash if you get rid of it. So,
I mean, Matthew Pekka, decent prospect, nothing too major, but again, we'll just move on from that. The big trade of the day, I think, for the Edmonton Oilers, getting Andreas Athanasiou and Ryan Kuffner for 2 2nd-round picks in 2020 and 2021, along with Sam Gagner going back to Detroit.
Yeah, big thumb up from Edmonton side, thumb in the middle for Detroit side. I still think they could have done better, but I'm not in the room, so I can't say whether they could have or not. But
this could end up being the best trade of the whole deadline.
This could be a huge move for Edmonton if they can find somebody other than Draisaitl to play with McDavid, so that you can put Draisaitl on the second line, and then you have 2 lines, which is Edmonton desperately needs that. You can't just have one line. That's proven that will not work. And it could turn out to be really good for them. Who knows? We'll see. Anthony say you could continue to play, half-ass, and we'll see what happens. But
again, playing in Detroit, of course he was going to be at minus 43 on that team.
Yeah, I don't take the plus-minus thing in. I know a lot of fans will, he was minus 43. I don't.
Well, that's a team stat.
Anybody playing for Detroit was going to be a minus. Plus, to me, the only you can take plus minus with a grain of salt in terms of looking at stats, because that's a team stat.
Yep.
That's not really, to me, an individual stat. So.
And Athanasiou with McDavid on a 3-on-3 line, possibly the 2 fastest skaters in all of hockey. So I just think that's going to be really dynamic and exciting to watch if they do get to play together like that. And Athanasiou is a guy that's scored 30 goals last year. So.
And it's Athanasiou is a guy who can play both center and wing and has done both in his NHL career. So it's another guy. You want to have options like that. That there's nothing bad about having options like that on a guy.
No, so huge thumbs up for Edmonton getting Athanasiou. That could be a really good deal for them.
Yep.
Next, Edmonton Oilers also acquired a depth forward, former Buffalo Sabre, Toronto Maple Leaf, and now Ottawa Senator Tyler Ennis goes to Edmonton for a 5th-round pick in 2021. Going back to Ottawa.
Thumbs in the middle. There's nothing really this wasn't a big trade. Nothing really exciting about it. I do like Tyler Ennis. Again, one of my caveats. He's a big player I'd pick up in NHL the game for depth forward because he's fast and he can play penalty kill. But real life, he's a good little fourth liner, third liner. He can move up to between the bottom six lines. So
yeah, and Edmonton was definitely looking to get faster up front, and they definitely do that with Athanasiou and Ennis. So
got faster, got a little more depth. There's nothing bad and wrong about getting those moves done.
Although Brian Burke didn't like it because neither of them are truculent like he wants them to be. He says they got to go and get the puck first before they can skate with the puck. So,
well, I agree. Again, Brian Burke is one of my heroes in life, and he does not give no shits. So I agree to a certain extent. That's one of the problem with Nashville's players. I don't want to take up more time talking about that, but that's a big problem, I think, with a lot of these star players. They do not go and get the puck. They wait for the puck, which is not the way you play hockey, but
Holy, we got a huge thing to talk about right now, and I'm going to play the intro breaking news for this. Nick Holden has been given a 2-year extension for the Vegas Golden Knights, worth $1.7 million AAV.
Wow.
I'm sorry. I wanted to play the intro breaking news one more time for something that was big. I don't even care what it was. It had to be something, and we finally got. That's what we waited a half an hour for. Talking more on the air was to hear that Nick Holden has signed a 2-year extension with the Vegas Golden Knights. There you have it, folks. Let's finish off with the trades we got here. Derek Forbort goes to Calgary. They actually acquire 2 defensemen right back to back. They get Derek Forbort from the Kings for a conditional 4th-round pick in 2021, and then they get Eric Gustafsson from the Chicago Blackhawks for a conditional 2020 3rd-round pick. So they pick up 2
that will be
defensemen.
Chicago will receive the earlier of Calgary's 2 3rd-round picks in 2020. So whichever one ends up being the better pick in 2020, that will be the one they get.
Yep, so 2 good depth adds there for Calgary's decor, Forbort and Gustafsson. Do you give both thumbs up on those?
Yeah, Gustafsson, yes, probably. Thumbs up. The other one, thumbs in the middle. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah. Next, we had the Buffalo
Forbort,
Sabres.
I don't know enough about either, so you know what I mean.
The Sabres acquired Dominic Cahoon from the Pittsburgh Penguins for 2 UFAs that could help Pittsburgh's forward depth, I guess, with Connor Sheary returning to Pittsburgh and Evan Rodriguez, who requested a trade from Buffalo earlier this year. Sheary going back to play on Pittsburgh, I think, is a good thing. And looking into it, Dominic Cahoon, his stats are better than what his initial point total looks like. He actually looks like he can be a decent player and a 3rd-line center that the Sabres definitely could use.
Yeah, I give it a thumbs up for both teams. I think Pittsburgh wanted more depth at forward and at wing, and with Sheary, they're getting a guy they know, and with Evan Rodriguez, you're getting a guy who's probably not going to play all that much, but a guy who can come in and if they need him to, play on the 3rd line, play on the 4th line, whatever. For Buffalo, you talked earlier, Cahoon's not a bad player. He's not a great player, but he was an undrafted player who turned out to be better than what he was. He played in the Dell. Had some good stats in the Dell, came over to Chicago. So when Chicago signs people, I always go, okay, they must be all right. Chicago don't sign a bunch of bums, especially with the front office they have. So he could turn out to be somebody good. It could turn out to be a guy who can maybe play top 6 minutes one day for you guys. Who knows? Right now he's probably more of a 3rd-line winger, but
3rd-line center.
It's 3rd-line center. Okay, so instead of. But has he played wing too? Because I want to say he was playing wing on Pittsburgh too, but I could have been wrong. Irregardless, it's a guy who can, you were not. Rodriguez asked for a trade and Sheary wasn't coming back, so you got something for nothing. For that.
Yep, exactly. So can't really complain about that trade, and a decent move today by the Sabres, as those guys were going to be out the door for nothing. So. Next trade, I'm not even going to talk about that trade. Emil Juice for a 6th-round pick.
I don't know idea who Emil Juice is, y'all. Sorry.
Next, we had Sammy Vaughn. This is another big one, going to the Carolina Hurricanes, who we thought they were done at that point. Acquiring Sammy Vaughn from the New Jersey Devils for Yanni Kukkonen, Frederick Claesson, and a conditional 4th-round draft pick. So I feel like that's a pretty good value for Sammy Vaughn, and they didn't have to give up a top 3-round pick for him.
Yeah, I thought the same thing, and apparently Yanni Kukkonen's a good prospect, former second round pick. Pretty funny. I did get that name right, Frederick Clayson. I told you I'd seen that somewhere. Um, not bad value for a guy who, again, I think New Jersey wanted to sign Vatanen, but I don't think Sammy's going to want to stay because they're in a rebuild, essentially, or at least a partial rebuild. If they had kept Hall and things had been different, maybe Vatanen would still be there.
Blake Coleman gets them their biggest return. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, that's because he had term, and again, I don't think it's because of more of the player. I think it's more of the contract that they got more of the return.
Yep.
But
I thought they were shooting more for the stars for Sammy Vaughn than a fourth round pick and those two prospects.
And I thought they were too. And I'm guessing that the market, because a lot of defensemen were traded there at the beginning, so the market started to kind of dry up, and teams didn't necessarily. Now that means that you can ask for more, but there's less teams that need them. So, and Carolina, they knew Carolina was going to, probably want defensemen, and I think with the whole Brett Pesce injury, that I think it forced them their hand. So, and I think New Jersey was forced to also be like, look, we can hope that we can re-sign Vatanen, but if we haven't gotten him yet, and the contract talks aren't getting anywhere, then you just got to get rid of him. You got to move on.
Next, right at 3 o'clock, we had the Vegas Golden Knights acquiring Robin Leonard, so they got basically 1A, 1B in net with Flurry and Leonard now. Chicago acquires a second-round pick, goalie Malcolm Subban, and Slava Demon from the Vegas Golden Knights. Thumbs up, thumbs down on that one?
Yeah, thumbs up. Thumbs up all the way. It looks like Leonard could be the new goalie in Vegas, the way it appears, and it may be that maybe Fleury retires after this year. Maybe he's almost done. Maybe that's what they're thinking too. So we'll see.
It'd be nice for Leonard to get an extension because realistically he should have got one with the Islanders last year and even one with Chicago this year. It'd be nice for him to get one as he's revitalized his career.
I think Leonard has played himself into a position to earn a good long-term contract. I think his kid's been through a lot, and again, like I said earlier, with goalies, take a long time to develop, and he's just hit his stride later than most players.
He also went through a lot of mental health issues.
That's what I'm saying.
So.
That's what I'm saying. So that stunted his growth and development with the mental health problems. So it's not, it's just one of those things. He was a top goalie prospect. I mean, Leonard was good.
Yeah, with Ottawa.
Yeah, and then he had all that stuff happen, and it just takes getting in the right situation and getting your mind right. And playing goalie is 90% mental. It's a huge mental game playing goalie more than it is a physical. I mean, that's important too. Don't get me wrong. But mentally playing goaltender is one of the most difficult things I've personally ever had to play as a person who's played just about every sport. So
next, the Carolina Hurricanes acquired Brady Shay, which caught a lot of people off guard. Thought Carolina was done after getting Vatanen, but then they do end up trading their first round pick, which was in play at the beginning of the day for Brady Shay. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
That was on the trade bait list, which to me was very odd that a first round pick was on the list. That's a little weird, but okay. Thumbs up. Carolina, I think, is they're going for it, and I don't blame them. And I think if Mrazek can stay, put it together, because I've seen Peter Mrazek from his start of his career, in professional career. So I've always been very impressed with him and think that he just needed to get in the right situation to put it all together. So if he gets that team's going to be scary. I'll tell you what, if they can piece it together and really, because Carolina's already been a team that is a very tight-knit team, it seems like, obviously, with all the things they do after the games and stuff. So they're very, so to me, if they can all put it together, it's going to be pretty impressive.
We had a minor league trade. The Islanders trade Matt Laredo to Toronto for Jordan Schmaltz.
I saw that. I wasn't even going to say anything about it because who cares?
Yeah, after talking about Brady Schaefer first, we talk about that. But no, I think it's a really good trade. Getting Brady Shea. Carolina's definitely looks like they're the winners today.
Yeah, I would certainly say Carolina, Tampa Bay. And I think Tampa Bay gave up a lot, but I think they win overall in terms of they got contracts and players that are going to be able to play next year and not rob them of the ability to re-sign the guys they need to re-sign. So I think that's why they are winners today. Anaheim, they were sellers, but I thought they did pretty good too.
They made a lot of moves. And the Tampa Bay Lightning obviously acquiring Barclay Goodrow that we're talking about here for the first-round pick. Thumbs up for San Jose getting a first-round pick for Barclay Goodrow.
And thumbs up for Tampa Bay, too. And look, that's a hefty price. But again, you're getting a guy who's the contract and the salary and the fact that he is an underrated player on an underperforming team.
Yep. And
that's a good one.
The Sharks don't have their own first, so they instead of picking possibly
this will get them
year, they might possibly pick last in the first round.
And you know what?
Do as a Stanley Cup
but
champion,
you know what,
Tampa
man?
Bay.
If you think about it, you could end up with a prospect just like we did. I mean, we were late and we got Eeli Tolvanen at like number 30. So there's always players that'll drop. And look at Kaliev. He dropped to the second round, and he's still one of LA's top prospects. So
Brandon Davidson is also a minor acquisition by the Sharks for still to be determined. I believe it was a conditional draft pick from Calgary. They just needed to ship a body out after getting Gustafsson and Derek Forbort. So San Jose just picks up a depth defenseman to replace Brendan Dillon on that team. Next, we had a couple late ones here. We had the 4th-round pick acquired from to Montreal for Nick Cousins. So Nick Cousins goes to Vegas for a 4th. Don't even need to comment on that. Louis Domingue goes to Vancouver for Zane McIntyre, going back to the Devils. Obviously, it's because of the Markstrom injury that we've been talking about. He might be out 3 to 4 weeks for Vancouver, so Domingue will give them some stability there with the young Thatcher Demko to hopefully they're going to need him down the stretch to try to get into the playoffs there and even stay in contention for a playoff spot. So Louis Domingue at least is a nice patch job for Vancouver at this point. And, I'm going to skip that trade because I actually want to talk about that trade as the last trade, but we'll quickly say TJ Brennan goes to Chicago's organization. Goes to the organization for Nathan Noel, who goes to the Flyers, but he will report to their ECHL team, so he won't even be in the top 2 layers of their organization, so we're not going to talk about that. The last trade we want to talk about is the one that came in at 433, which was a pretty significant one, I would say. Christian Juice goes to the Anaheim Ducks in exchange for Daniel Sprong going back to the Washington Capitals. I really like this trade for both sides, actually.
Like I said, I really like it for Washington's point of view. Again, the high risk or low risk, high reward. Christian Juice is a player. He's offensive minded, so he's either going to be a really good offensive minded defenseman or he's going to be a bottom 4 offensive defenseman, because you can't really have a bottom pairing offensive defenseman. That backfires on you too much. So
the thing with Juice is that he wasn't going anywhere in Washington. He wasn't going to get to prove himself.
He wasn't. And I agree with you there. Here's why I think it's a bad trade from Anaheim's point of view. Who the hell's going to play right wing? They traded Kasha. And now Anaheim fans were excited because it wasn't Sprong. All right, hey, thank God it wasn't Sprong. He's better. He's basically Kasha, but better. And now they've traded Sprong too. You traded, I'm confused by that one. And it's not like they needed defensemen.
Anaheim's made a lot of trades today too, so
they have made a lot of trades today.
And Sprong, he could end up being a gem for the Washington Capitals in the right situation, playing with some very top end forwards.
No doubt about that. It could turn out to be great for Anaheim in the sense of maybe Juice has more potential than I give him credit for. But from what I've seen from him, and from what I've can gather about what he brings to the table, I just don't see how he's going to be more than a middle of the road defenseman, I guess.
Dmytro Timashov gets claimed by the Detroit Red Wings from the Toronto Maple Leafs, and Andrew Agozzino, former Niagara Ice Dog, gets claimed by the Anaheim Ducks from the Pittsburgh Penguins, were the 2 waiver claims today. No
OHL players traded, so that was weird.
Yeah, no
WHL, no prospect, not really many like OHL prospects and like Canadian junior leagues.
So Colin Ward will not be joining us today from the 0-60 OHL podcast since he had nothing to talk about today. I will lastly say about Anaheim, I think I found their new number 1, their top line right winger. His name is David Backes.
Oh, good God. What? I mean, I guess he probably is going to play.
Oh man,
Hell,
Danton
can they get
Heinen.
Kessler back? Is he still hurt?
No, he's on long-term IR. He's finished. Silverberg is probably their top line right winger. Raquel can play both. Heinen, they can all basically play both wings. The Raquel, Silverberg, Heinen. So at least they got some. At least they have some options here. Carter Rowney, Nick Delorier, Kiefer Sherwood, Troy Terry, and hopefully not David Backes.
Yeah, that's.
But they're in a rebuild, so it really doesn't matter for them
in rebuild
anyway.
mode. You're right about that, which I feel so bad for Gibson about that. But
yep, it's too bad he can't get out of there. He's signed for 6 more years at 6.4. So
yeah, he made his bed.
They could get a huge return for him though if they decided to get.
Oh, if they decide to trade him, he'll go for 3 or 4 first.
Getzlaff's another guy. Maybe next year's trade bait list at the trade deadline, he might be a guy that somebody looks at as a rental if Anaheim is willing to eat half that $8.2 million salary. He's a guy that we could be looking at next year's trade deadline show.
Yeah, absolutely. That's certainly a possibility. A lot of guys on Anaheim, I think. Probably Silverberg and Raquel are probably available at this point. We've been hearing rumors for years about Cam Fowler, and I mean it's never happened, but you've heard that rumor every season, the past 3 or 4 seasons about Cam Fowler getting traded.
Yep. So Ty, I think that's about it for our trade deadline show. It's 5:00. No other trades coming in. We also had that Jake Muzzin extension with the Leafs as well. Very very nice cap hit, although.
Great deal for Toronto.
Yeah, they needed to get him re-signed. He's key for their D-core.
So. I think he's key for that team. I think without him there being the big leader of that room, that this would be a lot bigger of a problem in Toronto than what it is right now. So
yeah, him and Morgan Riley definitely lead the back end for that team. So definitely good to get him under contract. But guys, that's going to wrap it up for today's episode of the Under Review podcast. This has been our part 2 of our trade deadline all-day coverage. Thank you so much to everybody for tuning in to this 6-hour show, or I guess 5-hour show that we broke it up into 2 parts today. This is the Armchair GMs Sports Network, your source for North American sports coverage by sports fans for sports fans, delivered to you right here from the Niagara region. As always, I'm your host of the Under Review podcast, Cappy. You can follow me on Twitter at Caputs13 with a Canadian Z. And a very special thank you to my co-host Tyler Jones for sticking with me today and for his insight today and analysis of all these trades with me. Very much appreciated, Ty.
Yep, had fun.
And you can follow him on Twitter at TylerJones_22, or don't follow him. It's up to you. It's up to him, actually, if he blocks you or not.
I'll tell you what, guys. Listen to this Toronto show later. I can't wait to hear Jordan on this thing.
A big thank you to all of our great sponsors that will put us on and support the network to keep the show on the air. And finally, to you viewers out there for tuning in and listening along with us for this full-day podcast. Very much appreciated. This has been the Under Review podcast on the Armchair GM Sports Network by sports fans. For sports fans. We'll see you next time.